So one of the most common moves we're seeing top professionals do nowadays is bowing the left wrist at the top of the backswing. So in this video, I'm going to show you exactly what you've got to do to be able to achieve this bowed left wrist and make it work for your golf swing. Because not only one, it will help you shallow the golf club in the downswing, two, control club face, and three, help you rotate through the golf ball better. So I'm Jonathan Chown with JChownGolf. Let's dive right into it. So like we just said in the intro there, bowing the left wrist is a move we're seeing a lot of the top players in the world do. So you can think of a Collin Morikawa, Jordan Spieth, Jon Rahm, even to the extent of like a Dustin Johnson, for example. But in this video, we're getting into exactly how to make that work. Because with a bowed left wrist, if you're not matching things up correctly in your golf swing, you could suffer with some massive left shots out there. So it's not something where we can just see top players do and go, okay, I'm going to copy that. We need to be doing some other things with that as well. So the main area players go wrong when they're trying to bow the left wrist isn't actually got anything to do with their ability to bow it. It's they're not using a grip type that matches up with the movement. So to match up your grip to make this work properly, you need a grip like we said, Morikawa, Jon Rahm, Jordan Spieth, and that is a slightly weaker golf grip. We could have standard, but slightly weaker works better whilst bowing the left wrist, because we've got to understand, what does bowing the left wrist do to your club face? Bowing the left wrist closes the club face. So you can imagine what golfers do wrong here. A lot of golfers have a slightly stronger than standard grip. So they'll be seeing these top players doing this, and then they will try to hit a golf ball with a bowed left wrist with a stronger grip. And you're going to see where this ball is going to start off in my net when I try to do that. So I'm looking down at my left hand. I'm going to see 3 knuckles, so slightly stronger. I'm going to bow it. And you're going to see how far left I hit that into the start of my net there. So we can't have a stronger left-hand grip doing that. Only if we're Dustin Johnson, for example, and we can rotate so hard through there. Because we gave Dustin Johnson as an example, but he's not the way to match things up correctly. Even though Dustin Johnson has a slightly stronger lead hand grip and he bows the left wrist, but he matches up that with an extreme amount of body rotation in the downswing. More you rotate your body, more shaft-lean you'll produce, more the club face will start to square up for a stronger face. We can't all do that. I think the best example, definitely as of late, is Collin Morikawa, because as of filming this, he won the Open last week. And you'll see him with his left hand. You'll see him, he's probably about 1.5 knuckles with that left hand when you look down it. But you see him at the top of the backswing, really nice bowed left wrist, and he's only just about square with his club face, just about there. So that's where loads of players are going wrong. They're not knowing that you need to have a slightly weaker than standard grip to be able to make that work, especially for more of the whole of golfers here. Because like we said, the stronger our golf grip would be with a more bowed left wrist, the more we have to rotate. Rotation is what we need in the downswing, but we can't all do it to Dustin Johnson level. So like for my swing, for example, I have a 1.5 knuckle grip as well. I bow it to square it, because you're going to see when I more grip the club like that, looking down with 1.5 knuckles, and now I bow that left wrist, look where it's going to start in that net. You're going to see it's going to start way straighter in there, because it is squaring off my club face for that weaker grip, but it's not doing it too much. It's not closing the club face off, and that's really important. So like we said there, the absolute optimal way is with a weaker grip, like a Morikawa, like a Jon Rahm, like a Jordan Spieth. That will work better for more golfers out there. You could do standard grip and bow it, but you have to make sure you are rotating a lot to match that up there. So what else does it help with? Okay, it's going to help square off that club face for sure, but it will also help you shallow out the golf club. As you can see, let's say I'm at the top of my backswing here with a flat left wrist. Now what I'm going to do, let me just bow it. You can see how me just physically just bowing my left wrist gets that shaft to lie down, gets it to shallow out there. So that's going to be very beneficial for a lot of golfers, because shallowing the golf club is hard. It's really hard to do. It's a hard movement. But if we have something at the top of the backswing that encourages us to shallow it, well, then we're halfway there. It's a very good piece that matches up with a lot of things in there. So, of course, if we're shallowing that golf club, what does shallowing do for us? Shallowing helps us rotate in the downswing. So the shallower that shaft, the more the body is primed to rotate through the golf ball. So that's why we want to shallow the golf club, to rotate there. So that's why bowing the left wrist is such a good thing for rotation. As we're going to see here, I'm going to just think about bowing that left wrist and turning through that shot. And you're going to see rotation was really quite good in that shot. Could be better. Everyone could probably turn a little bit better through it, but it's setting up the building blocks I need to be able to do it. So a great drill to do for this, and actually I'll tell you a drill and a training aid for this as well, because there are quite a few training aids out in the market that's really good for this. But the drill wise, so you're not spending any money, well, other than a tee and a glove, but we'll have them. So what we need to do here, unzip your glove, or Velcro, I'd say, your glove there. Now what we want to do, have our tee, put the tee just inside this little bit area here of the glove, and then re-Velcro it back again. So that tee, see how it's pointing upwards? So this is really an external focus type of drill. So external meaning not my body, and I'm focusing on something that's not my body. The tee, external focus. So when we do an external focus drill, it has a better response from our body. We're able to do a movement more when we think of something that's not our body. Rather than thinking of left wrist flexing, what we want to think of is tee pointing up to the sky, just like so, and that's going to create a better response and create this movement better than just thinking of bowing the left wrist. So tee pointing up to the sky at the top of the backswing there. So depending on how much we do it, depends on how much we bow that left wrist. But here's the thing, when you're trying to get a more bowed left wrist, let's say you're a guy who's cupped at the top, for example, you'd have to really over exaggerate it. You'd have to really feel like that tee's pointing up to the sky. I mean, it's going to be funny me doing one here because I do this movement already in my swing, but you've got to see it go way left in this net for certain. But if we're doing the opposite, which is cupping, you need to feel the extremely other way, which is really, really bowing it, really getting this to point to the sky. Let's give it a go. Let's see what happens. And as you can see, I didn't go that far left in my net, but really, really quite bowed there. So that's a brilliant one to start off with, just feeling like tee pointing up to the sky. Now, of course, what you could do when you're playing golf, so you can't have your tee in there, you probably get disqualified if you're playing in a tournament. Think of, again, an external focus, your glove logo. Glove logo, again, pointing up to the sky. External focus will create and give you this movement way, way easier. Now, training aids that help you with this. Now, training aids, if you can have one that targets your specific problem, so for bowing that left wrist, it's going to be like improvement on steroids. It's going to be brilliant. So what we're doing here, I've got this Tour Striker Educator. So what this is, I got this years ago, absolute years ago, but I used this when I was trying to work on bowing my left wrist. So as you can see here, it's just a little training aid. It's a little apparatus here that just goes into the band of the club, and then what you do from there is I do it so I loop it around so it just goes in front of my left forearm there. So it gives me good feedback here, because what I want to do with this, I want to separate this training aid from my forearm. But if I don't do that, for example, if I start to cup it, I'm going to physically feel this is kind of pushing into my forearm here. So what I want to do, I just want to bow my left wrist, and that's going to create some gap between my forearm and the training aid. So that's exactly what I want to do. Again, it gives me great feedback. Whenever you're working on something, you've got to have feedback, whether it's something physical or at very best physical and watching it on camera as well as you're doing it. So what I want to do, I want to create some space between training aid and forearm, and that's going to get me a little bit of a bowed left wrist at the top. Also guys, regardless of whether you're doing the tee drill or the training aids, you need to maintain that bow all the way down into the downswing and through the golf ball as well, because we don't want to be getting out to the top with that nice bow and then losing it straight away. We need to maintain it in the downswing to make it work. So there we go. That's pretty much it. What we need to do for a bowing and try to achieve that bowing position at the top of the backswing, we need a slightly weak grip. We need 1.5 knuckles with that grip to be optimal. Yes, you can do it with a standard, but to be optimal and make it easier for everyone, 1.5 knuckles is ideal, just like those top guys out there. So that's what we need to do. Have a good drill to do. So whether it's tee in the glove, point up to the sky, training aids, there's definitely more training aids out there than just those, that's for sure. And that's what we've got to do to work on it there, guys. So once you've got them in, you're going to be doing it optimally. The shaft's going to shallow, club face is going to be controlled. You're going to rotate a hell of a lot better through that golf ball there. So if you enjoyed this video, of course, click that like button. For more golf instruction just like this, hit hit a subscribe button, hit that bell button too to be notified every time I put out a video. So let's bow that left wrist. Let's start hitting the ball a little bit better. So of course, if you want to rotate better and that's your thing, is trying to get better rotation, we're in luck, because I have got a course available called the Ultimate Guide to Rotation in the Downswing, and that is on an app called Skillist. Now Skillist is the app which I do all my online coaching on. So what you do, you go download Skillist, type in Jonathan Chown in the search bar and you'll find my coaching profile there, and there's a little button right next to online lesson called More. You click More and then a little bit will come up and then you'll see show online courses. Click that and then the Ultimate Guide to Rotation will be right there. You get ultimately a coaching level of knowledge on rotation, because rotation is an extremely loaded topic. There's a lot you need to know about it to be able to rotate properly in the downswing. It's not as easy as just rotating through the golf ball. A lot of you will experience when you try to add in rotation, you hit the ball worse. That's because there's a lot of things you don't know about rotation that you need to know. So you'll know all about that, all the little things you need in your golf swing to be able to do it, how to look at your golf swing to identify these things, and also a way, once you've identified what you need to do in your golf swing to add in that rotation, how to practice for that specific problem as well. There is a practice kind of guide in there, how to template and structure your practice to get the most optimal time out of your practice time to get this rotation in your golf swing. So again, on Skillist, I'll put a link down in the description as well to go and grab that, and you will be rotating better after you've watched.